All right, now that you've answered your routines question for today, which is what is the number, let's go ahead and get started on our guided practice. You'll notice that all of our questions for our guided practice are below this video. We're going to do 4 questions together, so make sure you have that separate piece of paper ready. This week, we are still going to do CGI story problems, but we're only going to be doing 2 story problems this week, one today, and then we're going to do another one on Wednesday. Today's story problem is about my 2 favorite animals. My first favorite animal is a koala, and my second favorite animal is an elephant. Koalas, they're just so cute and so fluffy. Did you know that koalas slept for 19 hours a day? Pretty amazing, right? I wish I could sleep for 19 hours a day. I don't know about you. All right, well, in today's story problem, the koala is 145 centimeters tall. You know, pretty cute, small. Well, the elephant is 9 times as tall as the koala. So, how tall is the elephant? Do you think the elephant is going to be more or less than 145 centimeters tall? If you were thinking that the elephant is going to be more than 145 centimeters tall, you're right. Of course, we know in our schema that elephants are much taller than koalas. So therefore, the elephant has to be much taller than 145 centimeters tall. We also know in the story, though, that the elephant is 9 times as tall as the koala. That must mean that it is much taller than the koala. Go ahead and take 5 minutes to solve the story problem on your own. In those 5 minutes, if you solve it one way, go ahead and solve it a different way. Be sure to double check your work. Okay, guys, let's now go ahead and compare our strategies. Let's see what we all did that is either the same or different. And then if you notice that you made a mistake, go ahead and take the time to double check your work and fix any of those errors that you made in your strategies. Okay, so I made some annotations to the story problem, and more specifically, I wrote down some information that I knew about the koala, and then also some information that I knew about the elephant. In the story, it says that the koala is 145 centimeters tall. The story problem also says that the elephant is 9 times as tall as the koala. Well, I was kind of actually thinking of all of these koalas stacked on top of each other, making it all the way to the height of the elephant. Well, if I wanted to figure that out, I had to take the value of the koala or the height of the koala and multiply that by 9. Well, I know that multiplication is the same as repeated addition, or it's the same as skip counting. When we are using skip counting strategies or repeated addition strategies, I always make sure that I label my work very clearly. So as you can see on my paper, all of my work is labeled and how I'm counting. So I decided to go ahead and count the number 145 9 times. Well, keeping that number together is really tricky to count. So I thought about all the work that we did last week on place value, and I knew I could break the number apart into hundreds, tens, and ones. We called that, that's right, we called that expanded form. Expanded form when we took the value of each digit and expanded it in a number sentence. Today, I actually decided to go ahead and count by 100s, 40s, and 5s because I knew the value of each digit was 100, 40, and 5. When I started with the 100s, 100, 200, 300, 400, 500, 600, 700, 800, 900. I knew I was done because I labeled as I counted each of my hundreds. 900s is the same as 900. Then I counted by 40s. 40, 80, 120, 160, 200. 240, 280, 320, 360. Again, I knew I counted the number 40 9 times because I labeled each 40 I counted. Then to the ones, I counted by 5s. That was pretty easy. 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. Again, I knew I counted by the number 5 9 times because my label on top of each number. I knew I was not done because I broke apart again the number into, that's right, hundreds, tens, and ones. 900, 360, 45. I needed to add all three of those values at the end. 360 plus 45 equals 405. I knew that my answer was going to be 405 because I knew that 360 plus 40 equals 400. Then all I needed to do is add 5 more at the end. The last number I needed to add was 900. 405 plus 900 equals 1,305. I also knew that this number was 1,305 because I knew that 400 plus 900 is like 4 plus 9. 4 plus 9 is the same as 13. So my first answer was 1,305. Since I had time to do another strategy, I went ahead and checked my work. In my second strategy, I continued to use a place value strategy, but this time, instead of counting, I went ahead and showed all of the multiplication sentences that matched my counting in my first strategy. Again, I broke apart each digit by their values, and their values are hundreds, tens, and ones. 100 times 9 equals 900. 40 times 9 equals 360. 5 times 9 equals 45. These first two number sentences were pretty easy for me because I recognized the pattern of multiplying these values like they're multiplying by ones. 9 times 1 is the same as 9. Anything else multiplied by 0 is just, that's right, 0 or nothing. In the second number sentence, 9 times 40, I also thought of this as 9 times 4. Well, that's the same as 36. And 9 times 0, again, is nothing. Because we worked on that stacker strategy last week, it was easy for me then to go ahead and stack up each of these numbers by their place value. That's right, place value. Starting in the ones, 0 ones plus 0 ones plus 5 ones is 5 ones. 0 tens plus 6 tens plus 4 tens is the same as 10 tens. I knew the digit that I needed to put in the tens place was a 0, and the digit that I needed to put in the hundreds place was 1, because 10 tens is the same as, that's right, it's the same as 100. Nice job. 100 plus 900 plus 300 is 1300. My answer in my second strategy is 1,305. That's the same answer that I got in my first strategy. How about you? Now that we know our answer to the story problem, be sure to write it as a complete sentence. The elephant is 1,305. What was the unit of measurement in the story? That's right, centimeters. The elephant is 1,305 centimeters tall. In both of my strategies, since I know that counting is like multiplication, both of my number sentences to match my work for each of my strategies is going to be the same. I'm going to write it as a multiplication sentence. 145 times 9 equals 1,305. Take the time to check your strategy and see if you've made any mistakes. Go ahead and fix any of those mistakes in the next 10 to 20 seconds. If you got that one correct, give yourselves 2 Amazing work. Go ahead and organize your scratch piece of paper for the next 2 questions. Now that we've checked our work, let's go ahead and type in our answer in the blank space. You don't have to write it as a complete sentence. Let's go ahead and just write the value that we got that represents how tall the elephant is. The elephant is 1,305 centimeters tall. And let's go ahead and write centimeters using the abbreviation from the story, which is cm. Okay, let's go ahead and continue to solve more problems on multiplication. As I mentioned earlier, we know that multiplication is the same as repeated addition. It's the same as? That's right, repeated addition. Repeated addition is also like skip counting. That's right, skip counting. So when we're solving multiplication problems, we can use skip counting to help us solve those problems. Just like in the story problem, we can also solve multiplication problems using place value strategies. That's right, place value strategies. So when we were answering question number 2, let's go ahead and think about the strategy that I did, that I showed using place value, that's right, place value. We're going to continue to apply that strategy in the work that we do this week. Let's go ahead and read question number 2 together. Which strategy for multiplying 287 and 5 should result in the correct product? Let's go ahead and write that down on our piece of paper. The question's asking us to multiply 287 and 5. So for question number 2, let's go ahead and write 287 times 5 equals box. The question asks us to find the product, that's right, the product. Product is a word that mathematicians use to solve multiplication problems. So as a result of multiplying 2 or more numbers is called the product, that's right, the product. This is a word that you have used all throughout this year and even in 3rd grade. Let's go ahead and find the product of 287 and 5 by using a place value strategy. That's right, a place value strategy. We're going to break apart the value of each digit. What is the value of this digit 2? That's right, 200. So when we break this number apart, we're going to start with hundreds. 200 times 5. We can think of this number sentence as 2 times 5. Just like I explained in my strategy about the koala and the elephant, we know that when we multiply numbers by 0, they just equal nothing. So when we are multiplying multiples of tens or hundreds, we can think of multiplying by ones and then just including the zeros. 2 times 5 equals 10. There are 2 zeros in this number. 200 times 5 equals 1,000. This is a really great way of making sure that each of your number sentences are correct, especially when you go back and double check. Now let's go ahead and work in the tens place. What is the value of the digit 8? That's right, 80. So our next number sentence is going to be 80 times 5. If we apply what we know from the last number sentence, we can think of this as 8 times 5 and then include a 0 at the end. Well, 8 times 5 equals, that's right, 40. If we include a 0 at the end, that would be the same as 400. 80 times 5 equals 400. Notice how I'm lining up all of my products in their place, so that makes it easy for me to add at the end. The last value that we're going to work with is, that's right, the ones place. 7 times 5 equals, that's right, 35. Now that we've found the product of each digit, mathematicians call this partial products. Mathematicians call this, that's right, partial products. We found the product of each digit. Partial simply means in pieces. Now that we have all of our partial products, let's go ahead and add them all together, starting in the ones place. 0 ones plus 0 ones plus 5 ones equals 5 ones. 0 tens plus 0 tens plus 3 tens equals 3 tens. 0 hundreds plus 4 hundreds equals 400. 1,000 plus no other thousands equals 1,000. We now know that our product to 287 and 5 is 1,435. Let's go ahead and reread question number 2 to find our answer. So question number 2 says, which strategy for multiplying 287 and 5 should result in the correct product? Well, as we go through our answer choices, it looks like we don't find our final product, but we do know all of the partial products. When we look at each answer choice, we can see each partial product. Let's go ahead and label our scrap piece of paper with each answer choice, A, B, C, and D. When we look at letter A, all of the products are 35, 40, and 10. Do we have the same products? No. This answer choice is going to be not true. Let's go ahead and look at letter B. Letter B's products show 35, 400, and 100. Do our products show all of those? No. Looks like it's not going to be answer B as well. That is also going to be not true. Let's go ahead and look at C. The partial products for C are 35, 40, and 1,000. Do we see the same partial products? No, this one is also not true. Let's go ahead and look at our last answer choice. We're looking for 1,435. 1,435. Looks like D is our answer. Go ahead and select D on your Google form. Let's also go ahead and circle that one in our scrap piece of paper and write true. I like to put an exclamation point so I know that it's the correct answer. Let's go ahead now and organize our scrap piece of paper for question number 3. Question number 3 says, what is the value of 1,240 times 6? Read the question to yourself. Then go ahead and write that number sentence on your scrap piece of paper. Awesome. Your scrap piece of paper should look just like this. You should have written down 1,240 times 6. Let's continue the same strategy that we did on question number 2, which means we're going to find the partial products. We're going to find that's right, partial products. We're going to find the partial products by breaking apart the value of the entire number. What is the value of this first digit, 1? That's right, 1,000. Our first number sentence is going to be 1,000 times 6. If we continue to apply the same strategy as we did in the last question, thinking that we can multiply each of these digits like they were ones and then including all of the zeros at the end. 6 times 1 equals 6. There are 3 zeros at the end. 1,000 times 6 is the same as 6,000. What is the value of the digit 2? That's right, 200. 200 times 6 equals, again, we can think of this as 2 times 6. That's the same as 12. Include 2 zeros at the end. That would be 1,200. What is the value of the digit 4? That's right, 40. What's the next number sentence that we're going to write? Awesome. 40 times 6 equals, that's right, 240. In the ones place, the digit is 0. We already know that 0 times 6 would just be 0. You can write the number sentence here at the bottom to remind yourself that you have multiplied all of the digits, but since you know the value is to be 0, you can just leave it blank. I'm going to go ahead and include it just so that I know I multiplied each digit. Our last step is to add all of the partial products, starting in the ones place. There are no ones. In the tens place, there are 4 tens. In the hundreds place, there are 4 hundreds. And in the thousands place, there is 6,000 and 1,000, which is 7,000. Looks like the product of 1,240 and 6 is 7,440. Let's go ahead and type that in the blank space. Okay, go ahead and organize your scrap piece of paper for question number 4. I'm actually going to go ahead and I'm going to give you 2 minutes to read this question to yourself and to go ahead and get started on your partial products. Again, 2 minutes to read question number 4 to yourself and then go ahead and get started on your partial products. Go ahead and go to work. Okay, so nice job going ahead and reviewing the question and getting started on the number sentences to grade your partial products. I'm going to go ahead and get my work started. Just go ahead and double check to make sure that your number sentences match mine, and then we'll go ahead and do our partial products together. All right, let's go. So this first digit right here is a 2. That value is 2,000. So it's going to be 2,000 times 4. I'm still thinking of this as 2 times 4, which is the same as 8. There are 3 zeros at the end. So because of that, that's going to be 8,000. The next digit is a 1. That value is 100. So this is the same as 100 times 4. Well, 100 times 4 is 400. I'm keeping all of my partial products in their place value again, so it's really easy for us to add later. The next digit is a 3. That 3 is 30 because it's in the tens place. So the next number sentence is 30 times 4. If I think of this as 3 times 4, 3 times 4 is 12. A 0 at the end would make it 120. Keeping all of my digits in their place or in their rooms, as we've called it before. Then my last value that I'm going to multiply is the ones. 5 times 4 equals 20. Let's go ahead and add all of our partial products starting in the ones place. There are no values in the ones place other than 0, so there are 0 ones. The 2 digits in the tens place are 2 and 2, so 2 plus 2 equals 4. That's 4 tens. In the hundreds place, it is 400 plus 100, which is 500. And 8,000, there are no other thousands to multiply it by. So the product is 8,540. Let's go ahead and type in our answer in the blank space. 8,000, 540. Nice job, scholars. You'll notice that at the bottom of your handout, it says click next. That is going to be where your independent practice is. It looks just like this. Here's the next button. When you go ahead and click next right now, the next window that'll pop up will be your independent practice. You're answering all of these questions by yourself. Continue to use that scrap piece of paper to show all of your work, and do not use a calculator. Good luck!